When you're standing in front of a busy production line, and you need a label that will actually stay readable after heat, oil and a little rough handling, it's easy to feel nervous about picking the right printer. The decision feels even bigger if you've never used an industrial label printer before, because the wrong model can end up costing you time, wasted material, and a lot of frustration. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this review, I'm going to walk through the everyday reality of using the Brady i3300 with its workstation and software suite, point out the hidden trade-offs, and help you decide whether it's the right fit for your shop or if you should keep looking. First off, let's set the scene. The i3300 is marketed as a compact, desktop-sized printer that can handle a range of label materials: paper, polyester, vinyl up to 4 inches wide. It comes as a bundle that includes a small workstation, which is basically a little PC that runs Brady's labeling software. The idea is that you can sit at a desk, design a label on the screen, and then push a button to print a durable, adhesive tag that will survive the harsh conditions typical of manufacturing, maintenance, or field service environments. If you've ever tried to handwrite safety warnings on masking tape, or used a cheap thermal printer that smudges after a few minutes, you'll immediately understand why a purpose-built solution feels appealing. What makes the i3300 different from a generic office label printer isn't just the size, or the fact that it prints in color. The real differentiator is the combination of permanent type inks and the ability to laminate the label in process. In practice, that means the tags you pull out of the machine are resistant to UV light, chemicals, and abrasion. In a plant where you need a pipe identification label that will stay legible after a spray of coolant, that durability translates directly into reduced relabeling cycles. I've seen shops that used to replace tags every week. After moving to an i3300, they cut that down to once a month or less, simply because the print survived the environment. Now, let's talk about the workflow. You start by launching the software on the workstation. The interface is built around Brady's own database of standard label templates, hazard symbols, barcode formats, equipment icons, so you don't have to start from scratch unless you want to. The learning curve is modest. A new user can create a basic label in under 5 minutes. The software also lets you store custom templates, which is handy if you have a set of recurring label types, say, a valve pressure 150 psi label you need on multiple lines. Once the design is set, you feed the appropriate roll of label material into the printer, press print, and the machine does the rest. It cuts, laminates, if you selected that option, and ejects the finished label. From a day-to-day perspective, the biggest strength is the speed of that cycle. Even with the lamination step engaged, the i3300 can turn out a label in roughly 8 seconds. In a busy environment, that adds up. You can print a batch of 10 labels in just a couple of minutes without stepping away from your workstation. The printer also has a built-in cutter that neatly trims each label to the exact dimensions you set, so you never end up with excess material that you have to trim manually. On the flip side, the machine does have a few practical limits. First, the roll capacity is limited to about 300 feet of material. For most small to medium shops, that's plenty, but a large distribution center that prints thousands of shipping tags a day might find themselves reloading more often than they'd like. Second, the printer only handles media up to 4 inches wide. If you need larger safety signs or wide-format warning graphics, you'll have to look at a bigger model or a different technology altogether. Lastly, the workstation itself is a bit of a single point of failure. If the little PC crashes or the software glitches, you lose the ability to design and print until you reboot or reinstall. That's not a common occurrence, but it's something to be aware of, especially if you rely on the printer for compliance-critical labeling. Value for money is where the i3300 really starts to shine. The bundle price is higher than a standard desktop thermal printer, but you're paying for the permanent inks, the lamination capability, and the software that's already loaded with industry-standard templates. When you break the cost down per label, Especially considering the reduced waste and longer label lifespan, the economics become favorable. Think of it like buying a pair of work boots that cost more upfront, but last twice as long. You end up spending less over time. For a shop that prints a few hundred high durability tags each month, the i3300 usually pays for itself within a year. Who should buy this? If you run a small to medium operation that needs reliable, weather and chemical resistant labeling manufacturing, HVAC, electrical, facilities maintenance, or field service, this printer fits like a glove. It's also a solid choice for compliance officers who